In that moment, I realized that jealousy can be a sign of deeper fears. I wasn't afraid of their success. I was afraid that it would make mine less meaningful. The thought of them imitating what I had worked so hard for made me question if I had anything left to offer. I felt jealous because I couldn't help but compare myself. As I watched them try to imitate, I saw everything I had done in a new light. It made me wonder if I was doing enough or if they were doing it better. It wasn't about competition, it was about feeling displaced. When I saw them trying to imitate, it triggered a wave of jealousy that made me question if I was truly unique or if my efforts could be so easily replicated. There's a subtle jealousy that arises when you see someone imitating what you've created. It's not about wanting to take away their success. It's about feeling like something personal is being mirrored, leaving you with a sense of loss. Watching them try to imitate what I had done felt like a subtle invasion of my personal space. It wasn't about being threatened, it was the realization that something I had created was now in the hands of someone else. In that moment, jealousy took on a different meaning for me. It wasn't about anger or resentment. It was about feeling vulnerable. Watching them imitate made me question how much of myself I had truly given away. I never expected to feel so possessive over something I created. But when I saw them trying to imitate, it was like a trigger for a deep-rooted feeling of jealousy. It was more than just comparison. It was a question of ownership. Sometimes jealousy isn't as clear-cut as we think. It's not always about wanting what someone else has. It's about fear of losing something we think we own. That's how I felt when I saw them imitating what I had created. The jealousy I felt wasn't about competition. It was about the sense of being misunderstood. Watching them try to imitate made me question if anyone could truly see the effort I had put into creating something meaningful. It's strange how jealousy can sneak up on you. I wasn't angry at them for trying to imitate, but I couldn't help but feel a sense of loss. It was like something that had been mine was no longer in my hands. I couldn't deny it. I felt jealous. It wasn't about the imitation itself, but about the emotional connection I had to what I had created. Seeing them try to replicate it made me feel like it was being taken away from me. There are moments when jealousy doesn't come from a place of hatred, but from a place of vulnerability. Watching them imitate what I had built made me feel exposed, like the things I valued could be so easily copied. The jealousy I felt wasn't about wanting what they had. It was the realization that my uniqueness was being questioned. Seeing them try to imitate made me wonder if I had anything original left to offer. When I saw them trying to imitate, I couldn't ignore the jealousy that crept up. It wasn't about competition. It was about wondering if my efforts were truly valued or if they could be easily overshadowed. Jealousy is a strange emotion. It doesn't always make sense, but when I saw them trying to imitate what I had done, I couldn't help but feel like I was losing something valuable. It was a mix of self-doubt and insecurity. I felt jealous not because I wanted what they had, but because it felt like they were taking something I held dear. Watching them imitate was a reminder that sometimes things we believe are ours can easily be replicated. The jealousy that flooded me wasn't about competition. It was about the fear of being forgotten. Watching them try to imitate what I had created made me wonder if my place in this world was as secure as I thought. It wasn't just about jealousy, it was about feeling invisible. Watching them replicate my work made me question if I was truly seen for who I was and what I had built. The jealousy wasn't because of envy, but because of fear. Fear that my work could be replaced, that what I had worked so hard to create wasn't as irreplaceable as I believed. I felt jealous, but it wasn't about them. It was about me. It was the realization that I had doubts about my own worth, and seeing them imitate something I had built brought those insecurities to the surface. Jealousy can often be a mirror to our own fears. When I saw them trying to imitate, I didn't just feel threatened. I felt a deep-seated fear that I might not be as unique or valuable as I once thought. Sometimes jealousy isn't as obvious as it seems. It's not always about wanting what others have. Sometimes it's about wondering if what you have is worth anything at all when someone else is trying to do the same thing. I wasn't angry, but I couldn't deny the jealousy I felt. Watching them replicate something I had created made me question if my efforts were enough, or if someone else could do it just as well. I felt a rush of emotions flood over me as I watched them trying to imitate something I always believed was uniquely mine. A sense of jealousy mixed with insecurity rose in my chest, and it made me question my own self-worth. Watching them mimic what I had spent so much time and energy building stirred a storm of jealousy inside me. It's like seeing someone take something so personal, something that was once my special creation, and trying to make it their own. It's hard to put into words, but when I saw them attempting to emulate something I had worked so hard for, a wave of jealousy overwhelmed me. It wasn't just about the imitation, it was about feeling like something that belonged to me was being taken. The jealousy I felt wasn't out of hate, but out of fear. Fear that I wasn't enough, that someone else could take my place or do it better. My heart raced as I saw them trying to imitate, and for a moment I doubted everything I had worked so hard for. Jealousy isn't always about wanting what others have. Sometimes it's the fear of losing what we think is uniquely ours. When I saw them trying to imitate, that fear took over, and I couldn't help but feel a twinge of insecurity. It wasn't just jealousy, it was a mix of confusion and sadness. Watching them try to mirror something I had worked for felt like I was losing my grip on something that was once mine. It stung in a way I wasn't prepared for. I could feel the jealousy creeping in as I watched them try to imitate. It wasn't about them being better or worse. It was about feeling threatened by someone else trying to take something I had put so much of myself into. In that moment, I realized that jealousy isn't just about envy. It's about a deeper feeling of vulnerability, a sense of being unimportant or replaceable. When I saw them trying to imitate, it made me question my own place in the world. I watched with a mix of disbelief and jealousy as they tried to mimic my every move. It felt like a silent acknowledgement that what I had created had meaning to someone else, but at the same time, it left me wondering if it was being taken from me. Seeing them trying to imitate my work made me question my worth. It wasn't just jealousy, it was the fear that what I created could easily be replicated, that the uniqueness I prided myself on was not as special as I once believed. It's not that I didn't want them to succeed, it was just that feeling of being replaced, of watching someone try to recreate what I had done, made me feel less significant. The jealousy wasn't about competition, it was about feeling invisible in a way I hadn't before. Sometimes jealousy isn't about wanting what someone else has. It's about feeling that what you've worked so hard to build could be overshadowed by someone who hasn't put in the same effort. That's how I felt when I saw them trying to imitate. I didn't expect to feel jealous, but when I saw them mimicking my every move, it was as if my heart sank. It wasn't anger I felt. It was the unsettling realization that what I thought was mine could be so easily copied. There's a certain sting that comes with seeing someone try to imitate you. It's not just about jealousy. It's about the uncertainty it creates. The doubt about whether what you've built is truly as unique as you once believed. The jealousy I felt wasn't something I could control. It was like a wave that washed over me as I saw them trying to mirror what I had worked for, leaving me with a sense of unease about my own place in the world. In moments like this, I realize that jealousy is a reflection of our own insecurities. Watching them try to imitate what I thought was uniquely mine made me confront the part of me that fears being forgotten or replaced. I felt jealous not because I wanted what they had, but because seeing them imitate something I had built made me question my own value. It was a moment of self-doubt that I didn't expect but couldn't avoid. When I saw them trying to imitate, it wasn't just about jealousy. It was the deep, gut-wrenching feeling that I was losing control of something I had worked so hard to create. It was a reminder of how fleeting everything can be. The feeling of jealousy hit me like a punch to the stomach. It wasn't that I didn't want them to do well. It was the overwhelming sensation that my work, my effort, was being devalued by their attempt to imitate it. I never thought I'd feel jealous, but when I saw them trying to replicate what I had done, a wave of insecurity flooded my thoughts. It was as if I was watching something that had once been mine slip away. Jealousy isn't always obvious. Sometimes it's a quiet, internal battle that makes you question your worth. That's how I felt when I saw them trying to imitate me, like I wasn't enough, like my place in this world was no longer secure.